Welcome back, my legends, and today we're going to do a tier list video about what kind of titan would each legend main. Now, originally this video was going to be what kind of pilot would each legend be, which I kind of scrapped because what happened is that Moy made a video explaining that when it came down to the legends and a pilot having a 1v1, a pilot would edge out and win most of those fights. He also did state that there's no separation of pilot classes, that every pilot is able to use every ability at any time.
Because we just wanted to emphasize that in the battlefield, all of these pilots can have all of the abilities at once. In Titanfall 2, each ability is basically locked to a specific model just to be able to quickly recognize what enemy you're going up against. But if you think about it from like a lore perspective, all of the pilots share all of these abilities.
So they can phase, they can stim, they can grapple, they can lose connections to the servers because help is still on its way, guys. And so we're going to start off this tier list with the Scorch Titan. Now, for those of you who don't know what the Scorch Titan is, and the most basic explanation, I guess you can refer to it as the Fire Titan. I know some Titanfall fans are probably cringing right now, but I can see 4 legends that will actually main Scorch. Now, the first 2 are pretty much a guarantee. It's going to be Maggie and Fuse. These 2 characters are the definition of Scorch mains. Maggie with her drill that spits out fire and her wrecking ball, plus her absolute craziness. Fuse with his ultimate, the Motherlode, that spits out a ring of fire, and his ability to throw out a million thermite grenades at you. It just makes sense that these 2 will be Scorch mains. It's basically in their blood. The third legend that I see maining Scorch would be Caustic, just because it fits his playstyle where he's more defensive and rather set up a traverse and take advantage of the enemy's mistakes, and he can only really do that with one Titan, that'll be Scorch. And so the last legend that I can see being on this list, and I know some people might disagree with this, but I also put Catalyst on here. The reason why is because Catalyst is not really a defensive legend. She's more of a defense to offense option where you can go from defense to offense very quickly with her. And just like Catalyst's ultimate, the Black Veil, Scorch can do something called a firewall. It's not really the same thing as her ultimate, but it kind of gave me the idea that she could actually main Scorch. The next Titan we're going to talk about is the Ronin Titan. The best way to describe this Titan will be like the lightweight class. If you want to be faster than anybody else on the field and want to flank your opponents, you pick Ronin. And so I can see 5 legends actually maining them. And so the first legend obviously is going to be Ashe, because she used her Ronin Titan to go up against Jack Cooper in Titanfall 2. And so of course she's going to be a Ronin main. Next is going to be Wraith. Now the reason why is because Ronin basically does what she does with her abilities when she can phase shift, getting out of danger or getting close to her opponent to get the advantage. And so it just makes sense that she would choose Ronin since she's already familiar with the abilities. And so the next legend that will main Ronin will be Octane. Now this one's very interesting because on paper it makes sense that Octane will main this Titan, but in practice it's a horrible idea. Octane will full send with his Ronin and probably get destroyed. And so a typical Ronin main. And so the next legend I can see using Ronin will be Bloodhound. Now the reason I'm saying this is because I noticed that Bloodhound likes to use a melee weapon both in the games and also going hunting. And so it makes sense why Bloodhound would choose Ronin just for that reason, where they can use a melee weapon. And also originally Bloodhound was not going to be here. They were in the Northstar tier list, but I switched them up because I remembered that Bloodhound is afraid of heights. And so because of that reason, Bloodhound became a Ronin main. And so the last character that's going to main this Titan is going to be Revenant. Now it just makes the most sense. Originally I was thinking Scorch, but then I realized it makes more sense for a Revenant to try to grab a sword and try to get behind somebody and stab them, just like Forge. And so because of that, Revenant is a Ronin main. And so the next Titan we're going to talk about is the Northstar. Now for those of you who don't know what the Northstar Titan is, basically it's a sniper class that shoots missiles. And so I see 4 legends that fit this category. The first one obviously is going to be Valkyrie, because her dad, who was an Apex Predator, had a Northstar Titan that was kind of modified, that was like very unique to the other Northstars, but that's not that important. And so Valkyrie will use a Northstar just like her dad. And so the next legend that goes on this tier list is going to be Vantage. Now the reason why is because Vantage is really good with a sniper. In fact, we've seen this in her cinematics, how she's really deadly with a Sentinel. And so for her to use a Northstar is a no-brainer, especially with that railgun. This Titan was basically made for her. And so the next legend that we're going to talk about that goes here, this is going to be a bit of an odd one, but the next legend that goes on here is going to be Pathfinder. Now, some of you are probably confused why Pathfinder will main Northstar, other than the fact that we've seen him use snipers in the cinematic. The reason is because Pathfinder knows how to fly a ship. I know that seems very weird, but think about it, because in order to use a Northstar, you have to have an idea how to fly in the air. Well, we know two legends that know how to fly a ship. That's Valkyrie. She refers to herself as the best ship pilot in the Outlands, and also Pathfinder, which we've seen him fly a ship with Mirage and Rampart away from World's Edge. And so it makes sense for Pathfinder to choose a Northstar because you need to have an understanding of how to fly in the air, and we've seen Pathfinder use a sniper, so it makes sense that he will use a Northstar. And so the final legend that goes on this tier list is going to be Horizon. Now, we don't know if she can fly a ship, but we know for a fact that she knows how to fly a rocket ship, and so she clearly knows a thing or two about being in the air. And if you look at these four legends, you can clearly see that there's a pattern going on here. They might as well make the anti-gravity club because that's what they are. And so because of that, it makes sense why they will main Northstar, because they just don't like the ground. And so the next category, there's only one legend that goes on here, and that's going to be the Legion Titan. Now, the best way to describe this Titan would be the light machine gun Titan. And the only person that could actually use this Titan very effectively is going to be Rampart. And that's because Rampart was heavily influenced by Legion, by the miniguns, the shields that protect them, and her deep appreciation to Kuben Bliss, who was the person that saved her, which, funny enough, Kuben Bliss's Titan is also a Legion. And so it just makes sense that Rampart will main a Legion. And so the next category we're going to talk about is the Tone Titan. Now, the Tone Titan pretty much is going to be the defensive Titan. That's the best way I can describe it. And basically, there's four legends that go in here. The first three may not be that much of a surprise, but we're going to start off with Newcastle. Now, fun fact about Newcastle, him and Anita Williams are the only ones that got pilot training. Now, Newcastle was confirmed that he got his pilot's license back in Gridiron. I'm pretty sure also Bangalore has it too, so that way these two can be in equal footing. And so I'm pretty sure that Newcastle will main Tone. It just makes sense. If you look by Newcastle's abilities, you can tell that they're all defensive. It only makes sense because Jackson was kind of used to playing the defensive role, which is perfect for Tone. And so the next legend that also goes on here is Lifeline. Same thing, the whole particle wall, just like how she was able to revive a teammate with a shield before they took it away. Same thing with Gibby, but also he can be an offensive character. I think the one surprise we were going to have is that I have Seer as a Tone main too, and the reason why is because Tone can do scans. Now, obviously he's not as broken as Seer's, because Seer's scan abilities are way better than Tone's abilities, which is kind of funny, but it's a perfect fit for Seer because he's kind of like an offensive recon legend, which is kind of rare, and Tone kind of can be that if you really want to be aggressive with him. And so the next category we're going to talk about is the Monarch Titan. Now, the best way to describe this Titan will be, if you ever play Call of Duty, there's something called the Specialist, and that's when instead of getting kill streaks, you instead get more perks in order to help you out in the battlefield the better you do. And even though this Titan is complicated, I can only see one legend that will honestly go out of their way to try to learn this complicated Titan, and that legend is going to be Bangalore, because of course she picks the hardest Titan to try to learn, but it does make the most sense because the Monarch Titan is very versatile, and if you can master it, you're basically a one-man army. And so it makes sense that Bangalore would choose this Titan out of all of them, because just like the Monarch kick, there's something called survival of the fittest, which fits Bangalore perfectly. Now, I also have Loa here. Now, Loa's probably gonna hate this Titan, but in her logic, she's going to think, oh, Bangalore knows how to use Titans because she has the Titan experience. Maybe she can teach her a thing or two about the Monarch Titan, not understanding that you need basically an insane person like Bangalore in order to learn how to use it. And so she's just here because she just thinks she's gonna get ahead of everybody, but in reality, she's gonna be held back. And so the last Titan we're going to talk about is the Ion Titan. Now, the most basic way to explain this Titan is going to be the Laser Pointer Titan. And so the two legends, well, three legends that actually will main this Titan, well, the first one is going to be Watson. Now, it makes sense because Watson does put like electric fences, and Ion has this like trap wire ability, so it kind of reminds me of Watson and how she's an expert at lasers because her dad said that she was an expert in laser quantum mechanics, and how she also fixed Ash's head in the Broken Ghost. I can see Ion being a perfect fit for her. And also I have Crypto in here, not because of his abilities or his background story with lasers that makes me go, oh yeah, he can main Ion. No, it's just I have this suspicious feeling that he might have let Watson choose first, and it just so happened he ended up with the same Titan as her, which is exactly what Mirage is here, because he did the exact same thing to try to show off to crypto. And this is how the 3 smartest people in the Outlands became Ion mains. And so yeah, my legends, let me know what you think of this tier list video, and I'll see you all next time. Peace.